He is working in obedience to the Father. Sort of like what the Israelites were supposed to do, right? The purpose is given in verse 1. Why is he going out into the wilderness? To be tempted by the devil. This is his purpose. He knows the test that he's facing. The Greek word for tempt is the same word that's used for test. And most commentators believe that both is being used here in a way, because the only difference is the person's intention, right? It's the same event, but the devil's intention is to get him to fall, right? God's intention with this is that he proves who he really is. That's the difference between a temptation and a test. In verse 2, I love this verse right here because it's so easy to read that and think, well, duh. It says, of course, and after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. Well, yeah. A little more than that. But it sheds light into who Jesus is, right? Jesus is fully human. Jesus experiences the same things that we experience. His hunger also points back. So why does Matthew take time to mention he was hungry? Like, duh, we all know that. Well, he's mentioning it on purpose because it points us back to the fact that the Israelites, when they went in the wilderness, they too were hungry. And you remember, how long were they in the wilderness? 40 years, right? So why does it mention that Jesus was in the wilderness 40 days? Again, Matthew is doing these things purposely to point us to this time in Israel's history, and he's showing us that Jesus is the greater Son. Jesus is the obedient Son. So think back for the Exodus story for a moment. God had done unthinkable things, right? He warred against the Egyptian gods, rescued his people out of Egypt, and now is leading them to the promised land. And the question is for the Israelites, right? Are they actually going to do what God says? Will they trust in God or will they disobey? The verse that Jesus quotes here in what we read in Matthew 4 is Deuteronomy 8:3, and it sheds more light on why God allowed the Israelites to become hungry.